Salve, welcome to this video lesson on Capitulum Vigesimum Quintum, chapter 25, and title of the chapter, Titulus Est, Theseus et Minotaurus, Theseus and the Minotaur, or Minotaur if you prefer. Now, before we get into this, let's just take a quick look at this. Es Carta Geographica, a map, de Graecia, about Greece. Graecia habet multas urbes, Delpi, Corinthus, Athenae, Sparta, et inter Graeciam et Asiam sunt multae insulae, sicut Lemnos, Lesbos, Chios, Samos, Icaria, Euboea, Naxos, Melos, Rhodos, et Creta. Creta est magna insula. Creta est magna insula. And just shortly in English, so Crete, the big island that I just mentioned there at the bottom, you can see it. It's kind of east-west, midway between Greece and Asia Minor, which is modern Turkey, right? And it is south of the Aegean Sea, where you see all of those smaller islands, Mare Aegaeum. Crete is going to come to play in the story of Theseus and the Minotaur, because that is where he's going to go, Theseus the hero. So on we go into the story. Graecia. Theseus et Minotaurus. Syrra postquam facta Marcina ravit. Syrra, after she told the deeds of Marcus, told about the things he did, in other words, abire vult, wants to go away. Sed Quintus noli inquit me relinquere, but Quintus says, don't leave me, don't abandon me. Te hic manere volo, I want you to stay here. Nara mihi aliquam fabulam, tell me some story. In the margin we see a currus, a chariot. All right, and then Syrra then says, Quam fabulum me tibi narrare vis, what story do you want me to tell you? Fabulam ne de lupo et agno, qui forte adeuntem rivum venerunt, the story about the wolf, de lupo, and the lamb, agno, who came, qui venerunt, by chance to the same stream, forte adeuntem rivum. An fabulum de puero, or the story about the boy, qui cupivit regere equos, qui currum solis per caelum trahunt, who wanted, qui cupivit, to control the horses or to guide the horses, regere equos, who pull, qui trahunt, the chariot of the sun, currum solis, through the sky, per caelum. And that those two stories, the wolf and the lamb, this would be a reference to one of the fables of Aesop, a legendary Greek storyteller who told a bunch of fables about animals mostly, and they were moral tales that would teach us a lesson. And then the second story about the boy who wanted to control the horses of the sun god's chariot, that's a reference to the story of Phaethon, 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 and he was the son of the sun god, and he didn't believe his mom when his mom said that the sun god was his father. So she talked to the sun god and got him to appear to Phaethon, and Phaethon asked the sun god to prove he really was his father by granting him his one wish, and the sun god said sure. And of course, the sun god could have been Apollo, or in some versions it's Helios, who was the earlier sun god. Doesn't really matter which one so much. But when the sun god granted him his wish, the wish was to take the chariot for a spin. Well, being only half god and half, from his mother's side, who wasn't a god. I think she was a minor goddess, but certainly not a powerful god like the sun god. He didn't have the real strength that he needed to control these horses, and so it ended up very badly. Zeus shot him with a lightning bolt to kill him because he lost control of the chariot, and the sun god had to go mop it up and get the chariot again. All right. So back to our story here in line 8, ta quinte quinto, with quintus being quiet. That's an ablative absolute. And essentially that means the same as since Quintus was quiet or while Quintus was quiet. Syra pergit. Syra continues. Ancupis adire fabulam de Achille, or do you want, Ancupis, to hear the story about Achilles, Duce Graecorum, the general or leader of the Greeks, qui Hectorem ducem Troianum interfecit, who killed Hector, the Trojan general or leader, ducem Troianum, atque corpus eum mortuum post currum suum traxit, and drug, atque traxit, his dead body, corpus eus mortuum, behind his chariot, post currum suum. Circum moenia urbis Troiae, around the walls of the city of Troy. An fabulam, or the story, de Romulo, about Romulus, qui prima moenia Romana aedificavit, who first built the walls, or the Roman walls. We would say the walls of Rome in English, but literally it's moenia Romana, the Roman walls. All right, then Quintus says, et remum fratrem interfecit, and he killed his brother Remus, quia moenia humilia deridebat, because he was mocking, deridebat, the humble, or in other words, lowly walls. Okay, so that's a reference to the foundation myth of Rome. Romulus and Remus were twin brothers. And they had a little competition to see who would get to found the new city. Remus saw 6 birds in the sky and claimed the foundation, but Romulus just slightly afterwards saw 12. When they asked their men who should get to be the founder, they chose Romulus because he had seen more birds, even though Remus had seen the first augury, which is a bird omen, right? And so Remus was mad at Romulus for stealing what he felt would be his. And when they were making the new city, first they did this sacred plowing around the limit of the city line, and then they were building up the walls, but they were very low, right? They were just sort of ceremonial walls. They weren't really very protective. And so Remus jumped over the little walls to make fun of Romulus. And according to most stories, most versions, Romulus then killed him. In some others, it's a friend of Romulus that killed him. But the point is, it didn't start so well. All right. Omnes istas fabulas, we're in line 15. Antiquas, saepe audivi. I have often heard, saepe audivi, all of those ancient stories of yours. Jamero, but now, nec de hominibus, nec de bestiis, neither about people nor about animals, creatures. Audire cupio, do I want to hear. Nara mihi fabulam, tell me a story. De alico feroce monstro, about some ferocious monster, qui caput bestiae et corpus homines est, for whom there is the head of a beast or creature and the body of a human. Et quod homines vivos vorat, and which, the quote is neuter because monstrum, the word for monster, is neuter, and which devours living people, homines vivos. Or you could say devours men alive, or people alive. Talem fabulam audire cupio. Such a story I want to hear. Okay, so Quintus is a kind of a bloodthirsty Roman boy. He really wants some violent storytelling here about a ferocious monster that eats people. All right, Syra says, "At tale monstrum te terebit, Quinte," but such a monster will frighten you, will scare you, Quintus. Quintus says, No luputare me purum timidum esse. Don't you think that I am a fearful, a timid boy? Timor monstrorum purum Romanum non decet. The fear of monsters, timor monstrorum, is not befitting a Roman boy, does not fit a Roman boy. It's not decent for a Roman boy to be afraid of monsters, right? Narabo tibi fabulam de Teseo et Minotauro inquit sura. I will tell you a story about Theseus and the Minotaur, says Sira. Et sic narrare incipit. And so she begins to tell. In insula Creta, on the island Crete, olem vivebat monstrum terribile. There once lived a terrible monster, nomine Minotaurus, by the name Minotaur, qui caput tauri corpus viri erat, for whom there was the head of a bull and the body of a man. Minotaurus in magno labyrintho habitabat. The Minotaur lived in a big labyrinth. And what you can see underneath there, you can see, of course, in the margin, there's the Taurus, but here, this little inset bit is a bit of graffiti that says Labyrinthus hic habitat Minotaurus, and the Minotaurus is divided on either side. You get the MIN on one side of the labyrinth and the OTAURUS. And of course, this is in Roman cursive, so some of the letters might look different to you. So this is actual ancient Roman graffiti. Essentially, if we translate it, it says labyrinth, here lives the Minotaur. And you have a version of the labyrinth there. That type of labyrinth, by the way, this is technically what a labyrinth is. It's not quite like a maze. In a true labyrinth, there is one way into the middle of it and then one way back out of the middle again. So it takes very long to get to the center of the labyrinth and then very long to get back out, because you have to follow this winding back and forth way. All right, and this again is from ancient graffiti, and you will see depictions of the labyrinth kind of like this on some ancient Cretan coins, because this myth was very famous for them. All right, Quintus then says, Quid est labyrinthus? What is a labyrinth? And Sira says, Es magnum edificium, it is a big building, quod frequentibus muris, in plurimas partes dividitur, which is divided, quod dividitur, by frequent or packed, crowded walls, frequentibus muris, into very many parts, very many sections, in plurimas partes. Nemo qui tale edificium simul intravit, no one who once has entered such a building, rursus elinc exire potest, again is able to go out of there, et si, even if, janua patet, a door is open, or the door is open, because we may be just referring to this specific labyrinth, right? Labyrinthus ille, the labyrinth. A lot of times when you put ille after a noun, it indicates the famous one, right? So that labyrinth, the labyrinth. In quo Minotaurus inclusus, in which the enclosed Minotaur, tinebatur, was kept, was held, ad aedalo viro Atheniensi aedificatus erat, had been built, two-word pluperfect passive, aedificatus erat, by Daedalus, an Athenian man. Qui iam antiquam ex urbe Athenis in Cretam venit, who already, before he came from the city of Athens to Crete, cum plures res mirabiles fecerat, had made, fecerat, many wonderful things, many marvelous things. Minotauros nihil praeter homines vivos edebat. The Minotaur ate nothing except for living people. Itaque, and so, complures adolescentes virgenesque quota annis. Now, quota annis means every year, and so every year, and the complures adolescentes would be many young men, virgenesque, and young women, but we got to pick it up on the next page. And so every year, Athenes increta mitebantur. These very many young men and women were sent, mitebantur, from Athens, Athenes, into Crete. Qui omnes in labyrinto a monstro illo saevo vorabantur, who were all devoured in the labyrinth by that savage monster. Navis qua Atheniensis illuque vehebantur, vela atragerebat. The ship in which the Athenians were carried there, vehebantur illuque, bore or carried, where gerebat, dark, or we could even say black sails, vela atra. Nam eo colore significator mors, for by that color death is signified. Quintus then says, quam obrem, on account of what thing, tot Athenienses ad mortem certam mitebantur. On account of what thing, therefore why, we could say, were so many Athenians, tot Athenienses, sent to certain death. And let's actually stop there, because that's starting into our second section, which we will pick up in another video lesson. But I hope you learned a few things here about, minotaurs and labyrinths and Crete. Walete.